Yesterday, we got a new report saying that the official death toll in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria now stands at 2,975 human lives. American citizens, because let's not forget, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. That is a U.S. territory. It should be a U.S. state. It should be afforded every protection that every other state in this nation gets. Yet, for some reason, we are not allowing that to happen, even though Puerto Ricans have voted overwhelmingly time and time again to officially become a state here in the United States. The original death toll from the federal government was, I think, 64. They said 64 people died in Hurricane Maria. And now it turns out that no fewer than 2,975 people died, which is a 4,500% increase in the official death toll from this disaster. So far, the administration's been silent. Nothing. Not a word, not a peep. We're talking about a natural disaster that claimed just as many American lives, almost as many American lives, I should say, as the 9/11 attacks. Almost 3,000 people died on that island in this storm. One storm. So now we know that that is what the official death toll is going with. Other reports have said the number could actually be closer to 5,000. Nonetheless, we're dealing with this 2,975 number at this point. How did we get there? Well, let's start with one of the most obvious, but it's not one that gets much play. You had credit agencies, bond agencies, major banks here in the United States that basically screwed over Puerto Rico for years. There is massive ongoing litigation over what those big banks did, essentially stealing money that Puerto Rican citizens had put into bonds there on the island, investing in their own government, so to speak, with these bonds. But the big banks ripped them off, stole the money, left them with nothing, and left Puerto Rico with nothing to help build up their infrastructure. That's one of the reasons there was so much damage from it. There was no money. The money was all with the big banks who swindled them. If you haven't had the opportunity to look at some of the litigations and some of the allegations that have come out of that, I do suggest you take the time to look into it a little bit. Santander is one of the banks involved in this. It's absolutely disgusting what they did to the people there. Second, we have the pitiful response from FEMA. When you look at Hurricane Harvey, it took less than, I think, 4 to 6 days, and you had 73 different helicopters coming in and out with supplies, rescuing people, doing things like that. At Puerto Rico, it took several weeks before we had helicopters down there offering aid, evacuating people, bringing supplies. Weeks to get there to do this. It's almost like everybody forgot Puerto Rico existed, or more importantly, forgot that they were American citizens, or more importantly than that, forgot that they were human beings. Because everybody likes to say, let's not forget they're American citizens, we got to take care of them. Yes, that's true. But they're also human beings, so we should take care of them. Nationality doesn't matter. Race doesn't matter. Language doesn't matter. Human beings are suffering. We should help them. That's a message that I think too few people in this country, especially those on the right, seem to understand. But aside from just saying, well, people are suffering, we should help them, yes, as a country, we had a responsibility, a legal obligation to go and help them. FEMA dropped the ball here. FEMA was late getting down there. They were horrible in getting out supplies. They underestimated how much they needed to help the people on the island. And this is actually from an internal FEMA report, by the way. This isn't just an assessment I'm giving. FEMA admitted this. They said they were about 5,000 employees short to even be able to properly respond to last year's hurricane season. They also admit that they've been grossly underfunded thanks to Republican budget cuts. And that's what happens. When Republicans go out there and talk about, we got to shrink the government, we got to cut their budgets, they're bloated, they're overgrown. This is what you get. You get a situation like Puerto Rico, where our agencies that are tasked with going down there and helping people and saving people and making sure everything is okay and put back together, they can't do their jobs because they don't have the funding to do it as a federal agency. You also had National Guard down there. And as I mentioned on yesterday's program, they left tractor trailers full of supplies sitting on the island's election headquarters in their parking lot. And they just left them. New York Times report from a week or two ago said that these supplies were left in there. Nobody was told what to do. Nobody was told how to distribute, so nobody distributed them. Before they left, the National Guard were the ones handing this stuff out. But when it was time to pack up and leave, they didn't bother to tell anybody what to do with it. So it just sat there and it rotted in those trailers. There's plenty of blame to go around, but at the end of the day, when nearly 3,000 American citizens die on your watch, this whole atrocity falls at the feet of the President of the United States. We all remember the massive backlash across the country to George Bush's pitiful response to Hurricane Katrina. And yet there is almost complete silence coming from the public demanding some kind of accountability for Trump's dismal response to Puerto Rico. Not that we would get anything from him. I mean, let's be honest. This man knows exactly what he did. He did it on purpose. He did it because he doesn't care.